Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining us again this week. We're always happy for people like you, people that are interested in what's happening in our cities. Because it is important for good government that the citizens and the city council and the mayors and the staff all keep in dialogue with each other so that people are keeping up with what's happening in their city and letting their elected officials know how they feel about things. So we're glad to have you with us. If you haven't watched our show before, we'll have someone on each week from one of the 9 cities in CCX's viewing area to tell us about what's happening in that city, what are the recent happenings, what are some of the up and coming happenings, to update you so that you'll know what's going on. And we will encourage you, if you live in that city, to take down the email and the phone number, so if any of the issues that we talk about really resonate with you, you can be in contact with your city council. Now, tonight we're very happy to have a return guest, Mayor Duane Poppe from Osseo.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've been on our show lots of times.
Yes.
We're always happy to have you on.
Well, thank you for having me.
And then help our people understand what's happening in Osseo.
Will do.
So I'll let you, because you already know that, tell people out there a little bit about yourself. The people that don't live in Osseo, let them know a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, I'm Duane Poppe, the mayor of the city of Osseo. I'm in my 3rd term now. Started on the council, we're the last odd year election, so it was a 3-year term. And then after that, then I was fortunate enough to be elected as mayor.
Right.
Twice since then. So,
yeah.
But things are going well. We've lived in Osseo for a number of years now. I have my wife and then three kids that keep us pretty active with sports. And then my day job, as I'm the managing principal of a commercial real estate firm, Lee & Associates. So
that gives you a good background. For
for the development and everything else. So it keeps me busy.
Right. So. And then I asked you to think about, because I always throw in a little question, right? What would you say to people that if you were encouraging them to come to live in Osseo? Somebody's looking for a place to relocate. What would you tell them about Osseo, why they should come and live in your city?
Well, I mean, we always joke, that Osseo is the Hamlet of good living. You look at a lot of people that, kind of have, Osseo has a real sense of small town Americana.
Oh, definitely.
And and I think you have a lot of people transitioning from out of state, and that grew up in those small towns. So we really have that feeling of small town,
yes.
Americana right in Osseo, but have the proximity to downtown and everything that Maple Grove and all the surrounding communities offer.
Right.
So we take advantage of that with the great freeway access and everything. So it's kind of best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's a place where you have a lot of movement back and forth, and you get a lot of people come into your city, right?
Yeah.
Now, we'll start on some of the topics that we kind of talk a little bit ahead of time. One of the perennial ones with the weather like the way it is your streets and alleys and the reconstruction that needs to be done. So we thought we'd touch base on that a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe you could tell us about, because all of our cities have different plans. I think yours is Osseo's Pavement Management Plan.
Correct.
Everybody gives a little title.
Yep.
Maybe you can tell a little bit about it so people out there will understand how your system works, especially people in your city.
Yeah, no, the Pavement Management Plan is something that we've really worked hard on over the years. When we first got there and then when I was first on the council, really had no plan. And just good governments, you need to have a plan. You need to understand what your decisions today mean to the citizens and tax base in the future, and be able to properly plan for some of that stuff.
Right.
So what we did is we did a really comprehensive approach to our streets and alleys, and what we did is we had a study done on the quality and thickness of all of our roads. We had all of our underground utilities scoped, and then we put that all on the GIS map, so we understood which areas needed work before, and then kind of laid out a plan that started out as a 10-year plan of a couple of years. There's 3 years ago now we milled and overlaid half the city because those are all roads that didn't need any underground infrastructure, the road beds were still good, so that way we can get a longer useful life out of all those roads.
Right.
And then the rest of them, we kind of chunked down to an 8-year plan to be able to, because they needed underground work or some other things that needed, or a larger section of roads, or we could just grind up, or mill and
Right.
overlay, or do some other things with. So then we were able to kind of take those over the next 8 years.
Right. And so now you're basing it on facts so that you know what you're aiming towards.
Correct. Yeah, and then then you put that in the financial management plan, and that allows you again to kind of be able to plan for it and make sure.
Right.
Because in the city of Osseo, we can do about $1 million street project a year.
Okay.
I mean, that's about as much as that
Right.
our tax base can handle. So.
And now, do many of your streets need the total reconstruction where you tear them all up and go down to the base?
These remaining ones all do.
Okay.
Because the bituminous on top were all decaying, and,
Right.
or the quality wasn't that good. And also a lot of them had underground work that needed to happen, or also a lot of these we've been going through and adding sidewalks. Because that's, I feel that it's really critical
Right.
to get the people off the streets and to be able to have sidewalks just for kids to bike on. And
Oh, right,
because the
right.
sidewalk system was not complete in Osseo. It was very disjointed, and it would go for a block, and then you have 2 blocks without it. So people would end up just walking on the street
Right,
because
right.
they didn't know where the sidewalks. So we're trying to get sidewalks at least on one side of the street so people can move freely about the city, but yet getting them off the roads.
Oh, yeah, that would be an important thing. I know, is that being well accepted by your residents? Because I know it isn't always in some of the other cities.
Yeah, no, it depends on the project,
Yeah.
and whose house it is, and what trees. I mean, it comes down to some of the trees that get affected.
Right.
And that's one thing that we've looked at, with going forward now, and able to accomplish it this year as well, as any trees that we remove out of the city right away
Right.
that most people don't realize it's city right away.
Yeah, that's true. That's
it's not
true.
your lawn, but
Right.
city right away, and then we'll, if they so choose, we'll replace those trees in their yard if they like to. So
Right.
we've got a 1-for-1 match now going forward on those. So
And then to make the city safer, grand total, right?
yes.
Now, one of the things that's always sort of part of the whole process is that things don't always go as smoothly as you want them to. So what happens to the people whose road is being worked on and there's a problem? How is that handled?
This year, our city engineer and there's an advisor who's out there every day. Then there's another person that reviews the work that's being done, and then
Right.
our city engineer. So you have 3 people that are out on the site quite a bit.
Oh, right.
And then they've published newsletters, that they've given to people. All the materials on the website. And we try to really get the information out there more,
Right.
because road construction's not fun.
Right,
but it's
right.
one of those things that just need to get done, and that's one thing we've told the engineers: don't just knock on the door, stick the flyer in the front door, and leave.
Right.
Make sure that you physically hand it to people, engage with the people, answer their questions, and and they've done a nice job with that.
Yeah, that makes a big difference, I think. Is how how things are handled.
Yes.
And it's the kind of project that everybody's happy when it's done.
Oh yeah, yeah. In most of those projects, it all comes down to communication.
Right,
I think
right.
that's the biggest thing. When people, and that's what I've always said. Anger occurs when your expectations aren't realized.
Oh, true.
So
true.
if people have different expectations or expect things to be different, that's when they get upset. As long as you're open to communicate what the timeline is and realistic what's going to happen, they can anticipate. They may not like it,
Right.
but you try to
Oh,
get out in
right,
front of
right.
things.
And then you kind of know what's coming up next, even though you might not like it, at least you know.
Yeah.
And then and maybe they're already done, when will these road projects be completed for this year?
We're just wrapping them up, actually.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we were able to get our contracts out earlier. They're able to get in there, and do all the sidewalks and all the. We just have the kind of top layer to put on the road bed now,
Right.
the bituminous, and then after that, then we'll bring in and we'll be able to plant the trees in the yards that we took them out of. So.
And then how are street reconstruction or mill and overlay handled for cost?
Yeah, when we're doing street projects, usually it's 50-50.
Okay.
You know, and then we're, you know, that's why we can only handle about $1 million project.
Right. Yeah. Now we'll switch to a different project and talk more about the planning for redevelopment, because one of the areas that is a possible for the future is your, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right.
Boorboom Park?
Boorboom.
Yeah.
If I was close, right?
Yeah.
Boorboom Park, because that's kind of in process, but maybe you can just update us a little on where it is and when it will move forward.
Yeah. No, Boorboom Park is the park that's right in downtown
Right.
Osseo. It's right across from City Hall. It's kind of across the street from the water tower. If
Yeah.
you know where the water tower in
Right.
Osseo, that's where the park is. And currently, right now, it's the park. We've got a band shell and then the Veterans Memorial.
Right.
Some people call it Veterans Memorial Park. But we have band shell, we have the memorial there, and then some park benches, and that's where we have our movies and music in the park.
Right.
And it's right now a half a block. And what we've done is there's 4 homes on the backside of it. We've acquired 3 of the 4 homes. We have 1 to go. And it's not like we're forcing the people out. It's just when they become available for sale, then we end up buying them. And the goal is then to create a 1-block city park right in the middle of town.
Right.
So I mean, to try to again kind of tie that, really the hometown feel, kind of that Norman Rockwell type.
Definitely.
Town center with a little band shell, and I mean, then have relocate possibly the band shell. So we've had a lot of discussions around that, and developing a sense of place like that in a park in the center of your town. You have one opportunity to get it right, and we've done a lot of outreach with the community and try to understand, what do people want now and what they want in the future, and be able to kind of integrate all those elements into something that makes sense for not only certain groups, but yet on a broader nature for all the festivities and activities that we have in town.
Oh yeah, because you have quite a few activities where people come to the park.
Yeah.
So eventually, depending on the availability, then you'll move forward. But you're gathering the ideas now to get ready to.
Yeah, trying to have a plan in place.
And then there's some additions that you mentioned came this summer to Sipe Park. Where is Sipe Park though? I don't know that.
Sipe Park is on the kind of in the southeast corner of town.
Okay.
And that has our ball field, and that has some playground equipment. We have tennis courts there, pickleball courts, and then basketball court. And then we have the Lions generously donated. They're doing a shelter there. So the footings have been poured, and then the slab, and then they're going to build, basically a shade structure so people can go and have, family gatherings and picnics and things out there inside the little shade structure. So it'll be a nice addition to that park and be able to be utilized a little bit more.
Now, people enjoy using those kinds of facilities, I think, or at least they do in most cities that I know about. It's a good amenity for your city.
Yeah.
Now, we talked quite a while ago about Osseo's comprehensive plan, so I thought we'll just kind of touch base on what's happening there. But it's to review for people that it's the Metropolitan Council has a requirement that every 10 years, each city has to update their city's comprehensive plan, which covers all kinds of things from land use to water use to zoning, that type of thing. And maybe you can talk a little bit about where Osseo is in this process, because you've been actively working on this for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of 2-year process to get the whole thing done, and it was, a lot of community outreach. We still have a citizen advisory board that is, actively engaged monthly, going through the number, and the staff has just done a tremendous job putting so much. I mean, the amount of data they have to gather and submit and tabulate, it's just staggering. And I mean, they're just doing a great job, and that, but I mean, it's really kind of the roadmap. And one thing, I mean, it's tough to go through it, and it's tough, I mean, but it's kind of nice once it's done.
Oh, right.
Because if you look at, if you travel around, you go to either other states or around the country that that don't have kind of a comprehensive plan, as we do here.
Right.
You see some of the zoning, some of the stuff. It's just like, how'd you build that next to that? And I mean, it
Yeah, it
just
doesn't make sense,
doesn't make
right,
sense.
yeah.
So I mean, at least we've got a plan. Some people, whether you like it or not, I mean, that's a plan is kind of there, and it helps kind of with development, helps kind of guide where projects are going to get done. So something's not done here, and something's done over here, and something's done over here. It's kind of systematic.
And then it does get people involved in the process, so that are there still different opportunities for input into the plan, or have you kind of completed that stage?
Oh no, I mean there'll be some more coming up here that people can as they compile it and have kind of the 500th draft of it, and be, how we're going to tweak this or this or that. So no, there'll still be additional opportunities, and and I know at Lions Roar this year, they'll have a booth again. They'll talk, and they'll be able to have one to take feedback on the park, and then second be able to provide additional insight or questions or comments to the comprehensive plan too. So
yeah, so it's a long-term process that's ultimately good for our cities.
Yeah.
And that are people, like we said before on the streets, it's always good when you get done with it, right? Now, your current comprehensive plan is available on your city's website.
Correct.
I don't even know, how many pages do you think it runs? Lots?
Yeah.
100 plus?
Oh yeah, it's got to be at least 100.
That if somebody wants to look at it, they might not be interested in all of it, but it does cover different areas. It is the kind of place where people can look if they're thinking about buying or moving and seeing what's planned for the future, right?
Yep. Yeah, because I mean, you have your comprehensive plan is kind of your base layer, and then from that you develop plans and zoning and laws based on kind of what the direction you want to, So I mean, it's really kind of the guiding document as we looked at, all of our development and redevelopment. That the comprehensive plan is kind of our guiding document of, there's not exactly what goes there, but this is kind of what should go there.
Right.
So and then we take that and try to figure out how we accomplish that, and to be able to reach the goals and be able to continue to drive the city forward.
Well, and then part of the basic thrust when they started it in the first place was so that you didn't have development that rambled and wandered and
and then be able to control.
Yeah, used up resources in a bad fashion.
Yeah, be able to control sanitary sewer, water, how that gets pushed out through the metro, and be able to plan for that.
Okay, so it's what all our cities are working on, and you're well ahead in the process, right?
Yep.
It's going to be due by a year from.
Yeah, like the end
in
of
2018.
Yeah, the end of 18
is when they have to get it turned in.
Yep.
But it definitely is a large job. Now, switching to the fact that most of our cities are also starting on their 2018 budgets. Your city budgets is in process. So what are some of where are you at in the process, and what are some of the priorities that your council is thinking about as they're moving forward on this?
Yeah, we actually tomorrow have our first budget and finance meeting, because kind of starts off with, as the city administrator sits down with each of the department heads and goes through and then gathers their wish lists of what they want and their budget, and then from there compiles it, and then now we sit down as the budget and finance committee and be able to review that, see kind of where things are at, and then ultimately from here we go to the council, additional discussions, and then by September be able to submit that to the state, and then we have September till December to come with the final budget that we'll ratify. But it's, I give the department heads a lot of credit. They've done this last year and this year, just looking at the preliminary budget, they've done a great job, and I mean they're very fiscally responsible with the dollars that are allocated to them.
That's important.
Yeah, and that and just kind of looking at it, and our struggle is that you've got to be able to plan, be able to try to keep as low as tax base as possible, but yet be able to continue to improve and make your city financially viable. So it's kind of, again, that you're just kind of, you're dancing along that line to be able to, what's right long term for the city. And, that's ultimately what guides the decision is.
Well, and what the city provides is what makes the city attractive to people moving in.
Yep. And it's those, and goes back to, a lot of those services just end up costing more money.
Right.
From labor, from insurance, from gas, from, everything. So I mean, there's always, even though you'd like to keep it or drive it down, it's, sometimes unrealistic to be at that. And that's why you try to keep those increases as minimal as you can to be able to still provide those things and, be able to compensate your workers fairly, across the city. And I mean, there's a lot of different facets that you have to look at.
Yeah, and people aren't always aware of all the work that the council and the staff put into that, I don't think. Do you?
I don't know. I don't think they do.
So it's always good for them to know that it's in process.
Yeah.
But then also, this is a good time if you feel really strongly about something should be in the city or should not be in the city. This is the time to get input in.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, from now until, when we ratify it in December.
Right.
We'll have public hearings and things like that, and we've, tried to, we always try to keep our tax capacity and going, down. That I mean, we so the citizens pay less, and that's one thing I think that people get confused on. I mean, ultimately, when you look at your property tax bill, I mean, you have city, you have school district, and you have county. So I mean,
they're
there's
all
only
on the same one, right?
And there's only, the city is, really all you can control from a city's perspective.
Right.
So I mean, if you really break it down, you got to look at, what's the city doing? What are they providing for me? What increase or what are they doing with that? And if you looked at ours last year, we were able to, and throw another monkey wrench into it. Then you have increasing value of your home or decreasing value of home. Where, like last year, our tax rate went down, but values went up, so people paid more. And they said, well, we're not up 20%, your value's up 20%. So I mean, it's, there's a lot of things moving in different directions that can, kind of confuse a lot of people.
And then the value of the property, there's like about a year time lag as this hits the rolls of what you have to pay.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it is hard for people to understand that part.
Yeah.
So what are the next steps now?
We'll take it.
Because now you're gathering the information.
Yep. So we'll sit down as the Budget and Finance Committee and we'll review it and then, kind of lend our ear because I've, kind of been through it so many times.
Oh, right.
Be able to understand where we can, make some changes, maybe do some differently. And, we're always looking for opportunities or a way to, do something jointly with a neighboring city or, can we do things differently? So we're always kind of looking at, is there some way to do things differently? So we'll kind of review that at that point. Then we'll go to the council, and then we'll have a full discussion about the budget at the council, and people have an opportunity to really pick through it because people, from the council will have kind of their thing that they have an eye on a little bit more than somebody else.
Sure, right.
So again, it's good to have more people review it and take a look at it, and then we'll submit it in September, and that's as high as it can be. We can't raise it going into December. We can only lower it. So I mean, again, we'll look at it and again work on it from September to December to try to drive it down and provide the best value.
Well, and I think part of it, from talking to a lot of people, is people are concerned about their taxes, but they're also concerned about they're getting good value for what they're giving into the process. So it isn't as though you always have to lower taxes, but you have to let people know what's going on, or they have to be aware, and then you find out how happy people are or not, right?
Yes.
but on the whole, I think most people are. The knee-jerk thing is, oh, don't raise my taxes, right? But if you say, well, what would you cut? Then
and most people, I mean, if they feel they're getting value and things are going well, I mean, they're no one's happy to write the tax
Right.
check, but I mean, they understand it.
Right.
They feel they're getting something for it.
Yeah, and I think
mean,
that
that's-
ultimately that's
yeah.
the important part.
Yep.
Now, you were telling me on the phone, and I didn't get the name of the group down because I'm going to take it,
Okay.
that there's a group that's working throughout the country about planting fruit trees in different
Yeah.
cities. What's the name of the group?
The Fruit Tree Foundation.
Okay. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about
And
it.
what they've done is their goal is to plant 10,000 fruit trees
Uh-huh.
around the country, and they're going in, and kind of their goal is to go into communities that are underserved for the ability to have fresh fruit available to them.
Right.
So they selected Osseo as a site that they would like to come and they contacted us to say,
Right.
can we plant fruit trees there? And that's apples, and I don't know what other fruit trees are really going
Right.
to grow here, but so they're going to come, and they're on our south end of our public works,
Okay.
where the strip of land kind of narrows to a point. All in there, they're going to come and plant fruit trees in there to be able to have access, and then be able to harvest that and then distribute that through the food shelves, or
Okay.
to the residents if they want a fresh apple.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting
Yeah.
group. Do you know how long they've been doing this?
I think it's I think it's just this year.
Okay, 'cause I had never heard
'cause
of it
I know
before.
they did one in Arkansas, and they
Okay.
did one in California, I think. So I mean, they've been kind of around. So
Okay.
the plan is that it's near the middle end of September.
Okay.
There's kind of dates have been floating
Right.
exactly when it is, but they're planning on having some significant press and things around
right,
it that it's going to
right.
be once it gets done. But yeah, so I mean that'll be something to keep an eye out for.
So that was kind of nice that Osseo
Yeah.
got selected for
Yeah.
that. And then do they get people from your city involved in the
Yep.
process?
Yep.
or-
Then they'll get somebody local to be kind of a keeper of it.
Okay.
And then, but yeah, it'll be citizens that'll come out and donate their time to help
Right.
plant these, and kind of do all the work, to get them going and landscape around them, and then
So this is another opportunity for citizen volunteers, right?
yes.
Now, is that via the city staff, or is that a separate group that will be overseeing this?
Yeah, that I don't know yet.
Okay, you're just in the beginning
yep,
stages.
Yep.
First, you have to get them planted, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I suppose it takes a few years before you
Yeah,
start
exactly.
making fruit that you're going to work
Yeah.
with. But that, if people are interested, to watch your website for
Yep.
dates when that's going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. Like I
In
said, I think it's
September.
going to be middle of September.
Okay, so
Middle
kind
end
of just
September.
keep an eye, and that's
Yep.
where they'll keep up to date
Yep.
if they're interested in being part of that process.
Yep. That's our goal.
Right. Well, I want to thank you so much for
Yeah, thank you.
taking the time and sharing your experience with our audience out there. And we will encourage you that be sure to tune in next week for part 2 of Osseo's issues. And remember, if you're from Osseo, if you have questions about anything we've talked about tonight, be in contact with Mayor Poppe
Yeah.
or with the rest of your city council people. We're glad that you've been with us, and we encourage you to come back. Bye.